Welcome to Normal Island Live. I'm Curtis Daly, and I'm joined by Will's Talks, all the way from the US. Will, how are you? Must be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. It's a good day to be vaguely left in America and just not want the best for the Trump regime. So it's a good day, guys.
Yeah, we
We're
are
feeling good.
globalizing that enchilada, shall I say? But it's gonna be a good show.
Ice with the enchilada.
Exactly. This is basically going to be the topic of tonight's show. But before we start, you can help us grow by visiting turnleftmedia.co.uk/support to help fund our work, or by becoming a YouTube member for just 99p. Let's get on with the show. Zohran Mamdani has won a stunning victory to become New York's first Muslim and Democratic Socialist mayor. Mamdani defeated independent candidate Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. Now, Mamdani scored 50.3% of the vote, with Cuomo coming second on 41.6% and Sliwa a distant third on 7.1%. Now, early polling initially had Mamdani blowing Cuomo out of the water, with Cuomo's vote nearly evenly split between himself and Sliwa. I think it's pretty obvious what happened here is a lot of people, a lot of Republicans and the political establishment got behind Cuomo, and a lot of voters went to Cuomo. But let's take a look at Mamdani's victory speech.
The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change. A mandate for a new kind of politics. A mandate for a city we can afford. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
The man wins, and then he quotes Eugene Debs. What a hero. Now, many were attacking Sliwa for being a spoiler candidate. Curtis Sliwa should have dropped out of the race. He had 0 chance. Now you can stay there in that hellhole. Curtis, you have no room to talk. What a horrible day yesterday. It's time to ask, who is paying Curtis Sliwa to stay in the race and play the spoiler? How much are they paying him? A message to Curtis Sliwa. You came to my Bronx synagogue after rocks were thrown through the window. Now, those same anti-Semitic vandals are about to win power in New York City. If you want to help Jewish New Yorkers, drop out. Otherwise, your legacy will be electing the communist. Curtis Sliwa is the most hated man in New York City right now. We've got graphic 6 up just to show the tweet. I think it's from George Santos, actually. No, it's not. It's from Pony Official, which, by the way, the photo looks like AI. Curtis Sliwa is the most hated man in New York City right now. He should have dropped out, and whoever voted for him voted for Mamdani. Well done, geniuses. Now we also have this.
Curtis? I'll send it to him because you know let me today. Good. Hey, Curtis, you're a fucking scumbag like I said all along, all these months. You fucking got 8% of the vote. You split the fucking vote for the $7 million. You were a scumbag. I hope every New Yorker spits in your fucking face every single day. You fucking sold out like fucking Judas sold out fucking Jesus for the 30 fucking coins of silver. Go fuck yourself.
But there's a slight issue with that entire thing. As you saw the numbers, Mamdani won over 50% of the vote. So Sliwa dropping out would have made zero difference, right? Mamdani would have won anyway. Both Mamdani and Sliwa won their respective primaries, whereas Cuomo lost. Now, probably the most memorable line of the campaign, in fact, came from Sliwa. This is him talking about Andrew Cuomo, referring to his record on COVID as governor and the allegations of sexual assault.
Eric Adams is damaged goods. Every day, a new case of corruption in the police department. They believe he's corrupt. Andrew Cuomo is a creep, slapping fannies and killing grannies. Everybody likes Curtis Sliwa. My favorable ratings are the highest in this election cycle. So get.
I love it. Slapping fannies, killing grannies. The guy's got sauce. I give him that. A genuine incredible line. Now, earlier in the year, Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo to become the Democratic nominee for New York mayor. However, shortly after, Cuomo decided to stand as an independent, and Mamdani defeated Cuomo with 56% of the vote to Cuomo's 44%. Now, the most incredible thing about this primary was that Mamdani started at 1% in February. His incredible campaign and policies took him to victory. Now, I'd say this race has been one of the most detestable, disgusting smear campaigns I've ever seen. A racist and Islamophobic campaign coupled with lies that Mamdani is an anti-Semite and a terrorist. Never forget, remember when you vote tomorrow, just look at that. They've used an image of 9/11, obviously people jumped out of the buildings, a horrific day, and they're comparing it to Zohran Mamdani. Absolutely disgusting. But this type of comment has been everywhere. Let's go to Donald Trump then. This is what he said on Truth Social. If communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home because of the fact that, as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm. And I don't want to send, as president, good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years, right? I mean, Karl Marx was born in the 1800s, and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was nothing as assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor, potentially, again, the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember that this, a vote for Curtis Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. Also, Elon Musk, he endorsed Cuomo and said, remember to vote tomorrow in New York. Bear in mind that a vote for Curtis is really a vote for Mamdani, or whatever his name is. Vote Cuomo. Yeah, good one, Musk. Now, that was just a snapshot of what Mamdani endured. And it really was the establishment, billionaires, and the Israel lobby versus New York's working class. So you can see this is political funding against Zohran Mamdani. Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire, reportedly spent $13.3 million. You've got Bill Ackman, another billionaire, reportedly spending $1.75 million. Really insane stuff. But since his victory, his opponents have engaged in a mass meltdown. Republican Congressman Andy Ogles tweeted this. Wake up, New York. And he shared a video. I mean, I've just got a screen cap here, but it was a actual video of 9/11 with the planes crashing into the building. Now, an account by the name of John Daly quote tweeted and said, my firefighter dad was there that day. My first memory is seeing these images on television and not knowing where he was. Today, he is happily retired and thinks Zohran is stellar. Fuck you and keep New York out of your mouth. Well said. Chief Content Officer at Florida Voice News tweeted, it's official. New Yorkers forgot. And again, you can see image of 9/11 and an image of Mamdani. You know what the illusion, what he's alluding to here. He has 700,000 Twitter followers, by the way. Now, right-wing commentator Bridget Gabriel said, I am devastated for New York City, just 24 years after September 11th, and they elect someone who supports the terrorists who flew planes into the World Trade Centers. New York City has forgotten. Then we've got former Republican politician George Santos, and this one's a funny one. Fuck you, Curtis Lewa. I hate you, your dumb wife, that stupid beret of yours, and all your fucking cats. Sorry, I enjoyed that one. If you don't know the context, Curtis Lewa has like 17 cats, and he's been parading the cats everywhere. I think a lot of people, a lot of left-leaning people and Mamdani supporters are like, oh, we kind of like this about Lewa. Now, we also have a video compilation of the worst people crying hard over his victory.
Congratulations to Zohran Mamdani.
Well, you can't imagine how disappointed I am. This is a horrible blow.
I honestly feel bad. I have friends of mine in New York. My phone is blowing up. They are officially depressed and scared.
And this was also a hostile takeover by the Democratic Socialists of America.
And this is a crazy situation. It's a very, very sad night.
Made him the stylish candidate as
exactly.
well.
Exactly. The rapping video.
The cool kid.
Older people. This isn't just Gen Z or Gen X.
I agree with you.
Boomers and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I see this as a disaster for New York City. And
Zohran Mamdani. All right. Well, I want to bring in our panel. They'll cheer me up. They'll cheer all of us up.
Womp womp. Now, Stop Anti-Semitism, right? It's not actually Stop Anti-Semitism. It's an account, which is basically a Zionist organization. And they tweeted, there is no place for socialism in the United States. I mean, what does that have to do with anti-Semitism? I mean, further proving themselves that they are not an organization that cares about Jewish people. They're just right-wing. But all this talk about Zohran and anti-Semitism, I find this very interesting. Exit polls indicate Mamdani won nearly 1/3 of the Jewish vote. He probably won a majority of Jews under 30. The self-appointed leaders of the Jewish community don't speak for vast numbers of Jewish Americans. And Jewish Voice said this about Mamdani's victory. Heartiest congratulations and Mazel Tov to New York City's Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. NYC Jews are not going anywhere. We're not fleeing. We're not in danger. We're here to stay in our beloved New York City. Congratulations, Mr. Mamdani, on an historic win. To all Zionists out there, our sincere condolences. Now, during the campaign, many corporate Democrats refused to endorse him. Senator Chuck Schumer, who's also the Senate Democratic Caucus leader, couldn't even confirm if he voted for him. Chuck Schumer discloses he voted early in the NYC mayoral race, but didn't say for who. Primary that man. Oh, primary Hakeem Jeffries. Primary 90% of the Democratic Party. Now, since this has been a huge election, of course, the stories have made it over here. We're talking about it, and obviously it's been on the UK mainstream media. Bridget Phillipson was asked if she liked Mamdani. Her response is interesting.
Do you like him? What do you think of his candidacy?
I'll be honest, I don't follow American politics especially closely. I've seen a bit of it online, but he's clearly fought a good campaign if he's managed to secure such support.
Do you really not follow it closely? No,
genuinely. Like, I'll follow the big stories, but not especially.
I mean, some people might say this is quite a big story, though, right? He's the New York mayor.
No, it's a big story. I mean, I'll follow, the activities of the US government. I'll follow what President Trump has to say, but no, as we'll probably come on to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, do you buy that? Come on. Oh, no, it's not a really big story. I don't really know much about it. No backbone. Also, the idea that it's not a big story. I mean, what a cop-out. It's New York City. But ironically, we've had a plethora of Labour MPs and supporters congratulating Mamdani's victory. Wes Streeting. Yes, Wes Streeting said, inspirational campaign and victory for Zohran Mamdani in New York City. Lessons for progressives the world over. I mean, he's not one of the progressives, so I don't know who he's aiming that at. Even Paul Mason, our dear Paul Mason, congratulated him. Mamdani's win shows the left can construct a broad but radical offer Above all, because the right's politics have become so focused on anger and hate. But the VA and NJ wins are also significant. Trump, Musk, and Farage can all be beaten with a broad centre-left alliance. Mamdani's victory shows us how we can defeat right-wing populism here in the UK, deliver real solutions, not empty slogans. I mean, is this a joke? If he was a British politician, right, he'd be kicked out of Labour. He'd be called an anti-Semite and a hard left crank by the very same people. And Paul Mason as well. The guy calls everyone Stalin who's vaguely to the left. By the way, Mamdani isn't centre-left. He is firmly on the left. He's a democratic socialist. Like, he's based. But I thought the tweet from Charters was especially odd, talking about defeating right-wing populism, when here he is literally parroting right-wing populist arguments. Labour's Doge is in full swing. £180 million clawed back from COVID PPE fraud. NHS England merger into DHSC. Huge savings. £500 million savings on consultants. £250 million cuts from NHS social care admin. Full Quango review. And much more to come. I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you? He's literally using the word Doge. Now, on the same day as Mamdani's victory, this is a good one. Vice President and mass killer Dick Cheney died, the architect of the war on terror, which created the hostile environment for Muslims. He will be remembered for dying on the same day that a Muslim won New York. Now, just before polling closed, Mamdani heard of the news, and his reaction was impeccable.
When did that happen?
Just earlier this morning.
It really gives, I mean, look, I hate Jeremy Clarkson, but it really gives the, oh no, anyway. Fantastic. He couldn't care less. Will, to start off, why do you think Mamdani won, and why do you think the attacks, ferocious attacks, ultimately didn't work?
Oh, well, I mean, so I wrote about this immediately after. He won for the same reason Trump won. Capitalism fucking sucks. We're losing. The life of the working class right now is not good, and people feel it. And there are two options, right? We can't continue to the neoliberal hellscape that we've lived in. Either you start blaming all the minorities and you start committing extraordinary violence against them. That's what Trump is offering as a solution. It's a real solution for, the rich, white, straight people. Or you start actually solving the problems at home, and that's what Trump, Mamdani is, which is a democratic socialist. At least he claims to be, and I hope he is. And I fear he'll be a social democrat. So yeah, you either start actually making people's lives better and avoid fundamentally crushing the system as socialists want to do, which is, I think, the position that Mamdani plays, or you offer a fascist solution. And I think the corporate attacks didn't work because people are starting to recognize them. I mean, the attacks of anti-Semitism, I don't know if you saw the ADLs, the Anti-Defamation League, which is directly in confluence with the Israeli government. They released a statement acting like this was the end of the world for Jews in New York. Recognizing that despite that, New York is the largest population of Jewish people outside of Israel and the most populous Jewish city in the world. If this was the end of the world for Jewish people, why did a third of them vote for Mamdani? And why aren't we seeing a mass exodus? It's nonsense, and people are inoculated to it. They'll call anyone that even vaguely criticizes Israel an anti-Semite. They called fucking Kamala Harris an anti-Semite, and she sent billions to Israel. So, we're getting used to it. And the corporate-backed media is just not looking good, and they're switching gears. So yeah, that's the general structure.
I mean, you mentioned, because it's true, obviously New York has the largest Jewish population in America, and that's why sort of anti-Semitism was such a focus, and obviously Israel. Obviously, the smears of anti-Semitism, most people sort of see through that. But I think that, what was really striking, especially during the Democratic primary, was the questions about what would you do about Israel? And Mamdani simply said, I want to talk about New York. So when it comes to the anti-Semitism smears, we speak about this in UK politics all of the time because it's so prevalent. It happens all the time. Do you think that the smears don't work then? Obviously 1/3 of Jewish New Yorkers voted for Mamdani, 2/3 didn't. So do you think that anti-Semitism is still a smear that works, or do you think people see through it?
So it's complicated. So it worked in that Mamdani was quieter about Israel. If you watch his campaign, he like used to, go scream BDS out on the streets. He helped found the Students for Justice in Palestine at his university. And then obviously he gave the kind of, I don't like the answer that he gave. It's probably politically necessary, but which is, I'm going to be the mayor of New York, not the mayor of Tel Aviv, which is a good, effective answer for him. So it works on some people, and it clearly has political pressure. We see that in him changing his tenor. But I think it's in a larger structure, which is especially when you want to attack a Muslim man or attack someone, when you want to say that there's this evil ideology invading America or invading somewhere, which is precisely what the fascists in America are trying to smear him with. You find a group that is vulnerable and say that his ideology or what he's bringing in is threatening them. And so we see this all the time with the trans debate, where if we want to demonize trans people, we say that they're attacking little girls in bathrooms, right? They say very similar thing about black men. They say very similar thing about Muslim men. And now they're leveraging Jewish people as a minority to say this Muslim communist, he's not a communist, is attacking them. So they're leveraging Jewish oppression much more than it's actually targeting Jewish people into believing that it's a real safety threat. So yeah, the political positionality of this is not just, if they actually believe it. It's this whole entire archetype of a dangerous Muslim man coming in and taking over an American city that they're trying to build up. And it works on some. I mean, fascism is compelling.
I mean, I want to talk about Curtis Lewa because he's such a fascinating character. What was interesting to me is that, even like a couple of weeks out, the polling showed that Mamdani was so far ahead, and really his polling didn't change, right? He was hovering around 50%. That was the result, right? He had his supporters basically locked in. But with Cuomo, he was around 25, 26%, and then you had Sliwa on 21%, right? Clearly, their vote was split. What I find quite interesting about that, though, is that Curtis Sliwa is openly, or he has an open disdain for Cuomo. I think that much is true. A lot of people know that. Yet his voters didn't share the same sentiment, because when it came to election time, his vote share went down to 7%, and then Cuomo went all the way up to 41%. So why do you think that so many people did get behind Cuomo? Like, I understand, obviously, Mamdani's the left-wing candidate, but remember, Cuomo's technically a Democrat, so I would have thought a lot of Republicans would have hated him too.
Well, you have to think about what the campaign was. What was Cuomo's platform? Does anyone know? Does anyone in the chat know? Like, could anyone name his? What's a single plank of his platform? His one platform was anti-Mamdani. That's all he published, right? And Cuomo
slapping fannies and killing grannies as well, wasn't it?
Well, he avoided every policy position because his policies were garbage. That's why he avoided them. So Cuomo was just an anti-Mamdani candidate, and the whole entire, and so was Sliwa, right? But Sliwa was an anti-Cuomo candidate, right? And so I think people were more scared, or certain Republicans were more scared of Mamdani than they were of Cuomo, because the actual difference between establishment Democrats and Republicans is quite low, but the difference between an establishment Democrat and, a democratic socialist or a social democrat is pretty high. So and also I think the biggest thing was, ultimately, Republicans serve corporate interests, and voters in Republican circles are very used to just kind of bending the knee to the corporate interests. And the corporate interests very clearly came behind Cuomo. Sliwa is absolutely hilarious, but he's totally unpredictable and was never really a serious candidate. Even how he held himself was a joke. So I think people saw that. And I think what also helped it was the left wing kind of took in Sliwa to a problematic extent. He has horrible policies, but we like the guy. He was, yes, Sliwa, you did get shot 5 times in the back of a taxi cab. Yes, keep bringing that up. That's hilarious. So yeah, that's what I think happened, is resentment politics will just go towards the person that has the best chance at beating the, boogeyman.
I mean, I liked Sliwa only for the mere fact that I wasn't sure if he was going to split the vote or not. So I wanted him to stay in just to split the vote. Of course, that didn't matter. I mean, do you think it was really important that Mamdani got 50%? Or do you think that doesn't matter? Because obviously, all the arguments now that Sliwa was a spoiler, it's just not true, is it?
No, I mean, who cares what the neocons do? They're going to do whatever they do, and they're ultimately going to be quite well organized. I think they knew Sliwa wasn't going to touch things. If they had, they probably wouldn't have donated as much to his campaign, right? Sliwa was also backed by certain corporate interests at the beginning. And so do I think I don't terribly concern myself with internal neocon politics unless it's the far right that is actually taking control. Then I'm very interested. I think it's important. The most important thing from this campaign was let's say the half of the Mamdani campaign that were the young people that got extraordinarily mobilized, were further to the left than Mamdani, and actually came out and engaged with the institution and did work. We mobilized a lot of people. We showed that people didn't fall for this bullshit Red Scare propaganda that America has been pushed through and brainwashed into for the past 70 years. That's the important part of this campaign. And Cuomo just represents everything that, represents the same position that Biden had. I mean, Biden had, sexual misconduct scandals. Biden had old people dying scandals, same shit. But people tolerated it because there wasn't an effective further left candidate. So what we're seeing is a shift in what would be the Democratic Party. And we'll see how that manifests.
So the policies of Mamdani, it's freeze the rent, free buses, free childcare, increased taxes on the rich. Right, very popular policies. Of course, his campaign was fantastic, but the policies were there to underpin it, right? The question, though, is that going to be doable now? Because there's going to be so many forces that are going to try and stop Mamdani, including Trump himself. I mean, Trump's saying, I'm going to withdraw funding, for example. So the fight starts now, right? But, it's very likely that he won't get to pass a lot of these policies.
No, there's no chance in hell he does. I mean, I don't think any politically nuanced or mature person thinks that he will, right? And it's also kind of besides the point, right? No politician delivers on what they want. America's not a democracy. We're not going to be able to get this shit through. You need a lot of people, and you need a lot of corporations, and mining corporations, frankly, don't want his policies. But what power he does have is, first of all, signifying what people believe in and the powers that are. And so the organization and the movement that was built up around him can do more, right? They can organize tenancies in labor unions. We have to remember America is deeply unorganized, and the political education of most Americans is extraordinarily low. So if people can rally around those things, that's great. He can also defend against the federal overreach, even if nothing changes in New York, right? And it's kind of a consistent fight between Zohran and Trump. Great. That's fantastic. And that's better than most cities in America, because Trump is trying to take over and destroy any type of devolution that we do have, right? Obviously, we're a federal country, so our states should hypothetically have powers, but Trump's trying to destroy that very effectively. So no, I don't think he'll freeze the rent, and I don't live in New York. I don't really care. That's not why I care about Zohran. The important part is it's finally an effective engagement with politics to the left, and we're seeing both how we engage in electoralism and that there are people who are willing to go on the street and do the work, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, no, I think I agree, but the most important thing is to vote for a fighter, vote for someone who clearly believes in the same ideals we have, who believes in these policies, but whether they're realistic or not in terms of the undemocratic structures of the USA, you need someone that is going to stand up for working class people and against fascists like Trump. I mean, do you think Andrew Cuomo would stood up to Trump? No, he took money off of him. And then Trump endorsed him. He would bend over for him. So I think that's the most important thing. What worries me, though, is for a lot of people who aren't politically engaged, who won't think like that, will be like, oh, Mamdani's failed. He didn't do the policies. He's a charlatan. And then people could become politically disengaged. What do you think needs to happen to keep people politically engaged? Because, again, the fight didn't really start in the election. The fight started today.
Well, yeah, maybe I'm a radical commie. I'm not terribly electoral.
Yeah.
I don't think the fight started today. I don't think it's or ends today. I think the most important thing about any politician is what they represent in the moment, right? And they're planting seeds of a movement. And so how we keep people politically engaged is successes by him are great, but let's look how AOC turned out. AOC hasn't had major legislative success in the past 6-10 years. It hasn't happened, even though she was very exciting. And that was an entry for some people like me. I mean, I saw her and saw her politics, and I knew there were people like me that wanted a change and didn't believe in this nonsense and were willing to call themselves a socialist. That's a huge thing, right? We used to kill socialists in America. We still probably do. We'll see unclassified in 10 years who they've killed. But that's the important part. And how we keep them politically engaged is a devastatingly leftist answer of you need to go out and organize with people around you, not just electorally, right? SNAP benefits are being cut off in America right now. People are starving. People are being abducted and kidnapped off the street. Organizations that actually connect you with the people and victims of American fascism are going to keep you politically engaged and politically mobilized much, much, much longer than one day in an election. And so that's always my call to action to Americans is go out and find the people that are actually protecting your neighbors from kidnappings, from starving, etc., because that's what's going to actually mobilize and effectuate action and necessitate radical action. Because Zohran, as an elected official, can capitulate to the capitalistic interests that will happen, and he will. We know he will. Everyone should be prepared. Take that vaccine, swallow that pill right now. He will capitulate. But if you are protecting your neighbor, you can't capitulate because that's your friend, that's your family. So that's always how I look at that.
Let's look at the Democratic Party. I want to know, I mean, I think I probably know the answers to this, but looking at this victory, clearly so many instances where the Democrats turn left, name drop, they do pretty well. I mean, Bernie Sanders is still the most popular politician in the country. The economic agenda is very, very popular. Clearly it was popular with New York voters. What do you think the Democratic Party will do? Will they take notice and change, or are they going to learn the completely wrong lessons?
No, I don't think
your
they're
laughs
changing.
Kind of says it all, doesn't it?
No, I don't think they're changing shit. So I live in Virginia. We had Spanberger win, governor. Spanberger's a Republican, guys. Spanberger, I mean, maybe she's a pro-choice Republican. Let's be frank about what she believes. She's a conservative. The person she was going against was just unequivocally insane, right? So the Democrats, as an electoral party, that is just the position of the Democrats is to be an inch to the left of the Republicans. That is always what they have been and always what they will be, as long as they accept billionaire PAC money, right? Because that is always the rule, is if you accept billionaire PAC money, you are going to be about an inch away from the Republicans, and your selling point will be that people that want to feel good but still have power in the institution will vote for you. And so they can't learn. They can't learn what the people want, right? They have always been there to be an excuse to continue doing evil and not change shit. So it's not that they don't know. I think people are like wanting to take Chuck Schumer and just shake him, even though that may very well be the end of Chuck Schumer, for better or for worse, because he is unfortunately geriatric. But he knows these people aren't stupid. These people are very educated. These people have been engaged in politics for a very long time. So I don't think it's a matter of learning. I think it's a matter of forcing them to change. And how that changes is changing the economic, organization of American politics. And that always does go back to how organized we are as workers, how organized we are as tenants, how organized we are as community members. Because if we change the economic position, then Democrats who only listen to profit of their corporate backers will change. And that's really the end of it. That's also why I'm quite, blasé about electoral politics. I think it's always a symptom of the other politics that we do in our day-to-day life. So maybe they'll learn, maybe they'll pretend, but I think it's almost more dangerous if they learn, because that's just them getting better at lying, to put it as frankly and kind of nihilistically as possible.
That's a good point. I personally think the Democrats would rather lose elections than give up their donors. That's what I think. I think they would much rather see Trump in office than change the Democratic Party from within, sabotage the corporations. Because at the end of the day, that's who they serve. And the Democratic politicians, whether in opposition or not, they get paid. They get paid for speeches. They get taken away to lovely events or dinners or whatever. So they're pretty cushy. And as you correctly say, electoral politics is severely flawed and it's only about people power, and it's a long time. It's a long-term sort of strategy. But thank you, Will. I think what we're going to do is open this up to our producer as well. Lewis is here. How are we?
I'm all good. How are you guys? Good show.
Fantastic analysis from Will, though. Absolutely love it. And by the way, I want to thank you for it basically came on last minute. I asked you today, so I really appreciate that.
Oh, no worries. It's always happy to. It's always good fun.
It was really interesting what you were just saying now about like they would rather let like the right win than let anybody like Mamdani come into power. And it made me think of just the other day I was listening to a podcast about Morgan McSweeney, and Keir Starmer's number 10 took out Jeremy Corbyn, got Keir Starmer in power, and it's been well reported that he wanted the Conservatives to win in 2019 so he could bring about his change to the party. He did everything that he could to compromise the Labour Party so they would lose and become so defeated that he would have an opportunity to build it back up. We've already got like the modern day proof of it happening again, and they will always do this. And Will, you're a history guy, right? You'll know that the history of like pretty much any dictator in Europe that came to power, it was inequality rises. The left says maybe we should go after the rich people a bit more, and then the media, the elites, the rich, all back the bad guy.
Pretty much.
It's pretty much like the summary, very basic history of the rise of fascism in Europe. But let's go to some amazing comments. And by the way, for some reason, the guys in the comments today decided to get into a very extensive debate about their favorite vegetables. No idea where that came from, but
that's interesting. I want to know who's the winner. If you could tell from the comments.
No. Just the left can never agree. Remember, the left can never agree. So
true.
People are agreeing over squash and sprouts. But let's get to some comments. I'll start from the top. Becca wanted to comment on your attire again. Curtis is dressed like a theatre technician again. And a Rayla Mail co-host, welcome.
Thank you. A theatre. It's just a black t-shirt.
I do get it, though. Like the guys who just walk around the theatre wearing black. Zeke put, I think it's the second time I've heard of Wills. I'll have to check him out. Wills, your name in your display right now, is that your @name everywhere?
Yes, I've only recently normalized it. So yes, it's everywhere. TikTok, mainly Substack, folks. I just released a seconds there. I also have the .com, which I need. It's really ugly right now, so forgive me. But yeah, you can check me out everywhere.
The left are poor. We can't afford good websites.
Legit.
Also, you go live on TikTok Live quite a bit as well, so people can go and watch that if they go over on TikTok and follow you. Graham, I for one welcome the woke Sharia communism brought by Mamdani. I've seen it's nice to see like just everybody happy and like joking, and you know the left is happy again today, at least mostly. I
also think the lefts are always better shit posters than the right. Like the right have no humor. Their humor is racism and transphobia, and that's it. Whereas like we take a piss a lot because we kind of have to, because the left 90% of the time lose. We are losers. We always lose because we've got so much shit stacked against us that we've been forced to just be really, really sarcastic. So yes, I welcome the woke Sharia communism too. Bring it on.
You can't be creative and conservative. This is why when they complain about like, oh, the left dominate, media and Hollywood and all of this, it's because nobody wants to listen to your shit because it's not good.
Exactly.
Okay, next comment. More love for Will. Spec says she just started following you on Facebook Reels. I haven't gone on Facebook in a long time.
Facebook Reels, that's a thing?
You know what? Facebook Reels, Facebook Reels is actually really popular, funnily enough.
Must be with the boomers.
We had better memes. Socialize the enchiladas.
Socialize the enchiladas. Yes. Oh, I really could eat enchiladas right now.
Now, Will, you might. I'm gonna tease your memory on this if you know. Like someone, Zeke, but finally the Cuomo brothers' reign is over. So obviously we had Andrew Cuomo, who resigned in disgrace over his scandals from killing old ladies and obviously his sexual assault allegations and all that type of stuff. And obviously his brother, who does he now still work for Newsmax? He didn't he actually resign from CNN for something similar? I think.
Yeah, Chris Cuomo.
I can't remember his scandal.
I'm pretty sure
I don't remember either.
I'm just relying on the American. Damn you.
Is it Newsmax Fox News though?
No,
it's not.
No.
No, Newsmax is like if Fox News was just like put on the swastika armband. It's pretty. Yeah.
And they both got sued and both lost for the Dominion and the other company I can't remember the name of, the fake voter ballot machine things.
Dominion.
They both lost hundreds of millions for those lies. And again, just as I was saying, Jamie put, it's been a long time since the left had anything to cheer about.
Yeah.
So people are happy. Graham, new conspiracy. Sliwa was a Communist Party plant. How else do you explain the red beret?
Well, do you know why he wears the beret, Will?
I don't know. It's a meme. He's worn it forever, though.
Yeah.
Apparently, like it's just kind of his own meme. But I don't know the origin. But it is based. That man was made to be loved by the left, and we love it. We love it.
I mean, I saw a video of him looked about 10, 50, maybe 20 years ago with this beret going to Andrew Cuomo speeches and heckling him.
Yeah.
The man has hated Cuomo for years. And I fucking respect that. I love the fact that Sliwa hates Cuomo.
Yeah, we should put him as parade czar. Like, just give him a he should be parade czar. He would do so well.
He would. Nowhere near like any executive power, but something like that would be great.
I can't remember what part I started this in. I think when people were just talking about how people are talking about Zohran Mamdani, but it ties into your conversation about, the Dems, them not changing. It is probably just going to be the same thing again, isn't it? Like, oh, look at this really successful guy. Maybe we should not absolutely replicate it, right? You can't put a Zohran Mamdani in the middle of like, I don't know, some like, purple state somewhere. It might not work. But even copying some of his things, they won't do that, right? I will never forget. I will never forget when AOC was trying to get on like the chair of that committee, and Nancy Pelosi was in like a hospital bed in Luxembourg or something with like a broken hip, and she was making calls from the hospital bed in Europe, literally trying to stop AOC getting on like the means something committee, right? Like the committee that criticizes like
Ways
just
and Means, yeah.
Ways and Means Committee, yeah, because she would have been a good voice. It would have been a good way to, elevate the younger politicians, the one with good voices. And she's literally calling from a hospital bed, trying to make it not happen. The Dems won't learn.
And the way AOC really tried to capitulate to Nancy Pelosi, what did she call it? Mama Bear? Is that the nickname she had for her? And didn't work. It obviously didn't work. I mean, what I think I can see happening is, and I've seen a few campaigns already, like they won't take any of Mamdani's policies, but they'll try and do the whole, if we just use flashy graphics and social media, that'll be it. And it's like, Mama Bear, that's it. Thank you, Autumn. You have to understand, so the campaign, the social media, and the policies work together. But if you're going to be like, hey, guys, things won't change. Things can't get better. You're not going to get people come out and fucking volunteer for you. And by the way, the social media side wasn't about enthusing voters. The social media was about activating the canvassers and the volunteers to then go out and speak to voters.
Exactly. Yeah, this is what they did with like the Kamala campaign as well. The lesson they learned is we need to meme. And the Democrats have gotten better at memeing. I mean, the Democrat like Twitter is not bad, but it's hard to meme when you're like, and I'd like to commit genocide in Palestine. Lols. Skibbity toilet Israel. It's not good. Social media works when you like have a popular base of support. And that's why like Mamdani went viral. He didn't just post good shit. Like, DJ Cardamom didn't go viral because
I saw the Democrats' official account. We're like, we're libbing out, and it's like, you've ruined the meme now. It's like the left say that because we're not libs, but we're like, we're just gonna cringe and lib out. Like Democrats are libs. So you're just like, you've killed it. You've killed it. Sorry. Yeah.
Also, as well, like I don't know if this was kind of like the criticisms of Navarro at the top that people have heard about. How Aaron tries to sometimes push the non-identity politics type stuff. And I saw their analysis of like Mamdani winning today, and it was like, he won because he didn't talk about identity politics. And it's kind of like, I think that's too much of like a cliche Marxist analysis of like, he only focused on like working class and working class solidarity, which is true. He heavily focused on that.
I didn't see that at all. No, I thought
really true. Yeah. The end of the campaign was being like, I'm Muslim, and like all of you can go fuck yourself for being racist. Like that was a big.
I mean, to be fair, like I've not seen the Navarro coverage on that one, but from where I'm looking, it was quite culturally significant. Like he specifically went to many different communities and would show that. And he would use campaign ads to speak in a different language. Like now, you would say the number one rule was to not do that. No, he's speaking in multiple different languages. Even his like attire, his music, all very, very multicultural. Obviously, like maybe Navarro's are picking up on the point when he makes TV appearances, and he did do the Bernie Sanders thing, which is like, things get thrown at him. And he goes, cost of living, though. It's all about how expensive New York is. That's definitely true, because you do need to have a coherent message. But I definitely wouldn't say that like he downplayed anything else. I think he was quite clear, because New York is very multicultural as well. I thought he actually quite lent into that.
No, the way I would put it is that like it's not that he didn't do identity politics. It's just that he took control of it. Right. Anytime it came up, he literally like nipped it in the bud almost immediately, like almost kind of what Zach Polanski has actually been doing quite successfully. Like when it came to the trans issue, like do women have a penis, and he went viral for that thing of saying, yeah, but it'll take them a long time to get rid of it on the NHS, right? Like just quick, snappy. You don't have to get the reason why culture wars are so popular is because you get to see politicians getting asked quote unquote uncomfortable questions and watch them being uncomfortable, and everybody makes a big thing out of it. If you can successfully just take it straight head on, nip it in the bud immediately and say, this is exactly what I stand for, clean and simple, then you can then take control of the conversation and talk what you want to talk about. So when they say he didn't do identity politics, I think he just was able to control his campaign and his narrative better than anybody else. And that's like, I think that's the key to it.
I think it's more that liberals do identity politics bad, because it's like, oh, because I'm a Muslim or a person of color, I'm more virtuous and vote for me. That's the sort of liberal identity politics. But the left wing, I mean, I wouldn't call it identity politics, but the left doesn't like ignore it, but they'll be like, yeah, man, I'm proud I'm Muslim, but I'm also working class and all this sort of shit. You sort of bring it all together. But the liberals will be like, hey, we need more brown people Muslims, even though they support a genocide, or even though they support tax cuts for the rich. It's like, it's very, very different.
So Michael put, but he's making the rich terrified. Lol, the panicking is hilarious.
We do
I think I wanted to highlight this comment though to bring up the idea of, we know Zohran is born in, was it Ghana? Uganda. So he can't run for president, right? But taking somebody like Zohran Mandami and them running for president, I genuinely think like the key to continuing eating the rich and making them continue to feel terrified is a Mandani-like character who is going to do actual constitutional reform, because every candidate is always just so risk averse, right? We know this is the definition of liberalism, right? Let's just slightly adjust the system in our way, just to make it what we think is slightly better. But you need somebody who's going to come in, right, and just completely say, I'm going to fucking change everything. But with, I think, the personality, good looks, we have to say, looks do matter.
Yeah,
good looks. And sarcasm and funniness and just confidence of someone like Mandami with actual genuine policies that are going to bring actual reform. Can you imagine if a candidate was able to do Mandami's campaign and come up and be like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of money in politics, like genuinely. I'm going to make it like constitutional. I'm going to get rid of like districts being redrawn. I'm going to get rid of all of this crap that people hate. I am going to fix the Supreme Court. No more political appointments, all of this type of stuff. If somebody came in with that type of, to be honest, they'd probably get assassinated, let's be honest. But that's what America needs. That's what everybody needs. And maybe Zohran can hopefully help pave the way for somebody like that, because obviously he can't really go higher than the Senate, really.
Yeah. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I don't have a whole lot. I don't know. We'll see if we have another free and fair election in America at like post midterms. I have my own doubts about that.
When Trump gets his third term, you know.
Exactly. But certainly gaining power and like mobilizing people on these grounds, it was incredible. I still remember Mamdani talking to the taxi drivers and being like, a lot of people are stuck in effective debt peonage, and it was just so refreshing to be like, yes they are, like, we're living in a day of like modern day slavery, guys. This is like, and the fact that this isn't recognized in Central is insane. So that type of ideology and just reality.
And I think with Mamdani, right, is that like you can't replicate every single campaign as a carbon copy. To go to the sort of identity politics thing again, it would be different if you're running as president, right? I mean, Mamdani is trying to be mayor of a very multicultural city. If you're running for president, I get it, you might need to appear less so or not lean into culturals. Someone like Bernie Sanders again, like Bernie Sanders was, I mean, I never thought he was a sort of a class reductionist or anything, but he really pivoted. And I think that's fine to win. But Mamdani didn't really need to do that as much because, again, New York is very vibrant, very diverse.
Well, I think like class reductionist is interesting because like identity politics in like academic form is like a leftist approach, right? It is like recognizing identities and their relationship and positionality in like capitalist systems and like larger systems of imperialism. Whereas like class reduction or like identity reductionism or identity essentialism is like what we're describing, where it's like people heckling Kamala because she's committing genocide, and then people being like, you're only doing that because she's a black woman. A black woman doing it, and number two, like, we're doing it to everyone else as well. It's like, I don't know, guys. That's wild. And it's literally just using this like original concept and bastardizing it so far to actually justify the thing it was made to negate. But I think, yeah, like the way Mamdani engaged with it was like as genuine, vibrant communities that had genuine interest and like economic and social interest in the city. I mean, America is an extraordinarily diverse place. Inshallah, we're going to be a non-white majority country in about 10 years. After that happens, I think that's the white supremacist fucking terrifying fear, and that's the backlash we're seeing right now. And so once that happens, I mean, the sky's limit, baby. Great.
To bring us to a more like critical side of things, Bloody Blah gave us £10. Thank you so much, Blah.
Thank you.
And asked an amazing question. Mamdani's election success is impressive, but the real work begins now. Will, I think this question is very much up your street with your videos and how you talk. I remember the elation after Obama won, and you can see that a talented orator can hold back progress if they don't deliver. There's not really a question there, but it's just about like, it's very true. Everybody remembers Obama winning. I was 15, 16, and I remember everybody just being like absolutely amazed, crazy. And even to this day, liberals will still praise him as like the best president ever, simply just because he sounded good. Like he was an orator, he was impressive, he was charming, and like that's it. That's all they've got to hold on to, really. And he was normal compared to what Trump is. So what work has to be done now, Will, from your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, the work started about 10, 20 years ago. But I mean, welcome to the fight, comrades. It's there's a lot of jaded leftists out there, and I attempt not to be just jaded, but hopeful and pragmatic. But it's absolutely right. Mamdani, by definition of being an elected official, can't change things, but is the change, right? So they are always going to be. The way I always talk about this is, elections or elected officials will always be the worst exchange for energy for value. Like the amount of energy that goes into a campaign and the amount of actual revolutionary change we get out of it is a bad exchange, and they know that. Whereas if we organize across tenancy, across labor, across debtor, across defense organizations, we can actually create the power of politics that electoralism responds to. And so if the type of work that we need is like actually stopping the fascists on the ground, and the fascists understand this, they build out networks that then the elections react to. And that's right now what we're seeing on the right, literally, right? Like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes are reacting to the huge networks of just batshit crazy fascists that have been festering in the past 30 years. And, leftists don't fester, we fucking organize, but we haven't had 30 years. And so we have to start thinking about how to build the power of politics that we can force politicians to not capitulate and be the people that they capitulate to. And so that if people want specific call to actions, look at what's happening in Chicago with the organizing in defense against ICE. It's one thing to vote against ICE, which there is no vote on the American ballot to vote against ICE. But it's another thing entirely to go and sit down in front of an ICE truck and think about what you need to do that. You need friends who will bail you out of jail. You need lawyers who will try and get you out of jail. You need people to feed you if you go on the run. You need people to house you if you go on the run. You need an organization and community to support you. And so building those actual effective resistance organs is what's going to happen. Don't put your faith in politicians. Be eternally critical and effective politicians, even if you like them. I fucking like Obama, and I would get along. He's a chill guy. He still did kill a shit ton of people in Libya. He's still a war criminal. Like these things can be true, and his position is still to be head of the empire, and he did that very effectively. He deported more people than Trump won. So it's if you take that view, you stop being disappointed and you start being excited, because what Mamdani's election shows is not a cure to fascism, but a symptom of it. We will always see social democrats come out of the same exact thing that fascism came out of. What we can do is try and push them into really effective action. That's always what I take out of it. Is if you view them in that way, you stop being disappointed, and I'm fucking done being disappointed, frankly.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's tiring.
But not everything has to be political in the sense of like it has to be directly politics and politics volunteering, right? I came across a group in the UK today called Acorn the Union. Don't know if anybody knows them. They were doing social media videos today where they get community volunteers to volunteer to body block bailiffs who are coming to people's houses to repossess things. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, sign me up. So there were other things like that where it's just like community-based stuff, which is in line with like belief systems that we have, which isn't necessarily directly related to getting somebody into power or organizing anything political where it's going to like just make the change on an electoral level or legislative. It can just be simply working in the community in that way. I think is a really good way just to do something that's like easier to do rather than like, yeah, like going out and campaigning for 9 hours is kind of difficult. So if you want to turn up to somebody's house for an hour and help body block a bailiff trying to come kick some family out of a house, that's amazing.
Also, about Obama, the key difference between him and Mamdani is that Obama was very much within the establishment anyway, and also he took, but up until 2008, he took the most amount of money for a presidential election, whereas Mamdani doesn't. So, like, you definitely can see who is actually on your side and who's lying, but of course, the broader conversation is Mamdani and others might be honest and have integrity, but obviously the system was what you're fighting against. But I definitely can be. I mean, if we manage, as Will was saying earlier, manage your expectations to say, okay, Mamdani can't get everything done, but he's fighting for it, and don't blame him for that. Someone like Obama, though, he just fucking lied, but he took loads of money from the corporations. He was, to me, always full of shit. I mean, he's a great speaker, and that's about it. I never really. I mean, he actually had the votes to pass Medicare for all, and he chose not to. And I think that, to me, a drone strike is obviously as well. But when it came to Medicare for all, that was so unforgivable for me. I think he had 1,000 seats at the time and lost all that.
He had a like not veto proof, like a supermajority, didn't he? Right? He had over 60 in the Senate. He could have done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a continuation of the conversation, Autumn donated £5. Thank you so much, Autumn. Mamdani has a good track record. See his work in the DSA. I don't know what DSA stands for. Well,
Democratic Socialists of America.
Oh, thank you. Fighting for taxi drivers and so on before he ran for mayor. Obama could never.
Bummer. That's so fucking stupid. I love that.
But yeah, like track record matters, right? Because sometimes what happens is a candidate can come up and they seem all, great, they're charming, they're enthusiastic, they're charismatic, but they don't really have a record, right? They don't have that like background. If you can find, like, despite any criticisms with Bernie or Jeremy or anybody else, you can find these people fighting back in the 60s and 70s, right? It's not something that's new, regardless of whether you agree with them or disagree with them or not. If you want to know if somebody's got integrity, find out how long they've been doing what they say they believe in, and how long they've stuck by that. Because as we know, it's the liberals, right, who change, right? One day, like 1 year they could be more conservative, the next year they'll be more lefty, right? Just to win, simply.
Yeah, I think, I don't doubt. I mean, Mamdani's father is a Marxist professor, folks. Like, he is. I also said this in what I was writing earlier. Like, he's probably a pretty principled Marxist. I mean, I don't doubt Mamdani, and his group chats are going to keep him honest. Like, if you look into what his wife believes, she's pretty open about her politics as well, and that's really what keeps people honest to themselves. That's not the question. And frankly, even if he does get a rent freeze, great. That's great for New Yorkers. I'm not a New Yorker, right? What matters for me is if we can mobilize people to effectively undermine it. And once again, I wrote this about it. Even if he does get all of that done, that's not taking down. It doesn't actually make people's interests aligned with undermining the American empire. Like, if you are more comfortable living off of like the wealth of New York, which is by and large extracted from the global South, you're going to continue the atrocities of the American empire. So I think it's true that he probably does have integrity, etc. But I think the ideology he represents is a move to the left unequivocally. But even if it is successful, even if it does get regional success, it isn't necessarily a tactical move towards like ultimate like liberation that like leftists should be aiming towards. So yeah, that's always the position I take on it.
Didn't they also try and push the narrative like Kamala Harris's like father was also like a Marxist professor or something? I think that was a thing at one point, right? But he actually like he was a political professor, but it wasn't like he was like a specialist in Marxism or anything like that. It was just, it's interesting, right? Isn't it? That the opposition, who always happens to be, in the last few big cycles, non-white person. Let's see how much we can make this non-white person seem like a Marxist.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah, this Muslim actually quoted Marx quite a lot. So shout out to him. The policy he ran as a social democrat. He claimed he was a democratic socialist. That's bullshit. His policies are not democratic socialist. His policies are of social democracy.
That was the Bernie Sanders thing, wasn't it? He said democratic socialist, but yeah, it was just social democracy, which is absolutely fine given that we're in neoliberalism hellhole. You can't expect us to be like, by the way, let's Guys, seize the means of production.
Like, I don't know.
Will, I have a
What?
question for you on this. Like, as a true and true leftist, in the sense of like you always try to keep, I think, leftists quite grounded sometimes in some of the videos that you do. What would you say to those leftists who refuse to engage with anybody that's not a true leftist?
Oh, well, it depends what your job is. I mean, if you as a leftist, if I think you can have different positions. I think it costs energy to engage with liberals because they make me want to, bang my head against a wall. That is work. That is labor. And so if you're not good at that and your job is to be a silent person that sits down in front of an ice van, or if your job is to organize tenants unions, or your job is to, organize renter, like debtors unions, great. You can ignore the liberals, just be quiet. That's fine. You don't have to speak. That's fine. You can just say I'm a leftist and say your leftist opinions publicly. That's fine. You don't have to engage with people. But if you are a person that it depends what your MO is, frankly. And I do think I hear your frustration. And I feel it as well when I see tankies. Well, I'm a tanky in a sense. When I see tankies going off about how this won't work or whatever, that's true. But it depends who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to other leftists and you want to, reinforce leftist ideology, fine, do that in your own circles. But doing it publicly, where liberals will engage with it and maybe be turned off, or liberals will engage with it and completely get the wrong conclusion from it, which is that like you should never in any circumstance engage with electoralism, then don't do that. And it's not productive. So I would always just center what your aim is, right? My aim, I'm speaking very specifically to take Hassan Piker leftists and move them to effective action, right? That's my demographic, right? I want to take them, people that, it went from maybe liking Kamala to being radicalized by the Palestinian genocide, and pushing them into effective anti-fascist action. And my language won't work on Republicans. They will think I'm a radical, I'm gay. It's already well past them giving a fuck. If you want to speak to Republicans, I think there are, Platner is more effective at speaking to Republicans than I am. And I think there are 100 trillion tankies that don't have the aims, and they just want to speak amongst themselves and then have the best way to organize the commune. And that has that place. But I would always just urge them to think about their demographics, think about it tactically. You being on Twitter isn't you just being as principled as you conceivably can. You're putting on a performance. Right. And you have to be cognizant of what performance you're putting on for what reason. People need to be more comfortable being not bad faith, but intentional with their language. And I think that's true for everyone.
Yeah, Curtis, so you need to spend less time on X, please. Thank you. Arguing with everyone.
I mean, first of all, I don't call it X. It's always going to be Twitter to me. So
absolutely not. Correct.
X is banned. Right, as a banned term.
The problem that we're having with that now is that like when you just say Twitter, because we have like younger not Gen Z, who's the newer one?
Gen Alpha.
Like you literally have them not knowing what Twitter is. Like
I don't care. Look, I'm sorry, but this is my most boomer take. I don't care. They can find out for themselves.
Yeah. Look it up.
Okay. Just to let you know, though, that's the equivalent of calling it the Facebook. Just to let you know. Like,
no, it's not, because and I tell you why. Because the Facebook to Facebook changed very, very quickly in its early stages. Twitter's been called Twitter for years until Musk had a little fucking crybaby little and changed it to X. So I would not. You would not win this one.
Anyway, Rachel left 2 separate comments with $2 donations. So thank you so much for Rachel. So she just put, Rama is so beautiful. Rama is the wife of Zohran Mamdani. And she majorly terrifies MAGA. They do, because it's almost like easier to attack a woman who's like ugly, if you just want to put it that way. Like, but when it comes to somebody who is they're a beautiful couple, they're a good-looking couple, they are highly on the left, and they've just won a massive election. Like they are the biggest threat right now, because they have like all the factors that you need to go bigger and further in politics. So yeah. And the second thing that Rachel put, I didn't follow this election, but maybe you guys can talk about it, because I think you mentioned it earlier. So sad to see Omar Fateh lose in Minneapolis.
Yeah, we discussed this before the show, and you just told me he lost, which it wasn't even close, apparently.
No, it wasn't. It was about 10-point difference. It was really devastating. We hate to see that. He would be similar to Rashida Tlaib, because we can see some genuinely radical action coming out of the North Midwest.
Yeah,
that's where all the Democrats bitched about Dearborn.
But like, he probably would have started on like 1%, right? And the fact that he was in the conversation, like, you got to think though, it sucks obviously losing an election, but look at the bigger picture. Mamdani's won, okay. Omar hasn't, but He was second. He was highly talked about. There's some wins, there's some losses. It's always a struggle.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the main thing. We're seeing an outgrowth of people that are comfortable with the word socialism, and my God, in the center of the American empire. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Exactly.
Andrina Websdale gifted 5 10-left memberships. So thank you so much, Andrina. And coming to some more start comments. Let me go to the bottom now because I lost track where we were because of all the vegetable comments. So back onto a different topic. It's crazy that these people are happy to copy the names of things run by people who have the Nazi salute. I think that's referring to the idea of like Cuomo and all these people like getting endorsed by like Musk and all these types of people, and how like essentially the libs will happily team up with whether it's conservatives all the way to fascists to literal neo-Nazis just to keep the quote quote lefty communists out, right? Because this is what history has told us. But yeah, it's sad, but it always happens, unfortunately. This is why liberals are generally hated sometimes more than conservatives.
Yeah. This becomes clear. I think I've read bits of fascist theory because, I want to know what's in their mind. And their observations are actually somewhat similar to leftists, which is like, there is this frustration fundamental to like the society we live in. And like liberals are just totally inept and incapable of solving that frustration. And so when they're offered the fascist solution, they're going to fucking take it. And like I made a video on this as well. The concept of like jihadi Marxism and communism, it reads the exact same as Judeo-Bolshevism, folks. Like they are not even
cultural Marxism stuff.
Yeah, he's a jihadi Marxist is exactly the same as like the Nazi, not even dog whistle blowhorn of like Judeo-Bolshevism, which is what they used to like join the culture war and economic war that the Nazis waged. And they're just engaged in the same type of shit. And if people learn to even vaguely recognize it, it would stop being surprising. So yeah, they're very comfortable with it.
And just to say even more directly, it's interesting how, the group of people who suffered from that version of anti-Semitism, which was the Jews are coming into our societies and just secretly bringing in communism and they're going to, take us all over. Like that's the basis of that theory. The Israelis are now, and like the pro-Israeli groups are now backing that against just another group. Like it's the exact same thing, but just insert Muslims. It's the Muslims are now infiltrating our society to come in and bring communism and socialism. It's literally the exact same thing, same rhetoric, same propaganda, but now the pro-Israel groups are now backing that, despite the fact that, it's the people who live in Israel who say that their ancestors suffered from these types of conspiracy theories, which led to the atrocities that led to everything from World War II and other atrocities. But they're happy to push this, which is very disappointing.
Yeah.
Back to UK, Mix. What does Streeting know about progressives? The guy who threw
unbelievable that he's. I mean, of all people, Wes Streeting as well. It's so fucking shameful because has Zohran ran as an independent over the Democratic nominee, these people would not be saying that. It's simply because he was the Democratic nominee. That's it. But I fucking despise these people, and Paul Mason as well. I mean, the guy's just all spiced up, wasn't he? So. Best ignored.
Literally, like Wes Streeting, who famously as a gay guy threw like the LGBTQ community, more specifically the trans community, absolutely under the bus as soon as he came into power, and even before actually. And now that he's seeing a possible leadership bid in the future, he's suddenly getting back to his progressive roots.
That's probably part of it, though. I think we've seen. Now and again, he's signaled that he definitely wants to run because he knows Starmer's time is up come May. The thing is that people aren't going to fall for it. Members do not like Wes Streeting. However, I suppose what he's thinking is, well, if everyone's a Blairite on the ballot, which is probably going to be the case, maybe they're going to choose Wes Streeting on a very, very low turnout, by the way.
Yeah, and then obviously speaking on the Labour stuff, Natalie just put Bridget Phillipson as a shitbag.
And what's this thing with like it's mainly British MPs, right? Doing that bob cut that hits right there. You got Rachel Reeves, you got Bridget Phillipson, you got Lucy Powell. They're all doing it. Like that long hair, and they go whoop, and it's like a little curl here. Sorry, it's just it's supposed to look, I don't know, statesman-like, is it?
Yeah.
But sorry, I was just finding another comment. Back to oh god, what's his name? Senate Minority Leader
Chuck Schumer. Oh, he did, didn't he?
He's going to get pushed
Yeah.
on this. This is not going to go away. He is absolutely going to get pushed on this because everyone's going to assume that he voted for Cuomo. So he's going to have to answer that question at some point.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chuck Schumer, I once again, he's the one I'm over being fucking disappointed in. He's useless. He's basically a Republican.
He probably voted for Sliwa.
Yeah, in fairness, he might have. That would have been funny. That would be the funniest answer, and honestly, the best related to the Gen Z. But if you push him on anything, he might just fall over because he's about 80 years old. So whatever.
Just to point out that from a British perspective, if a party member, especially a high-profile one, voted for another party, they would be kicked out within a second. Any party in the UK. This has happened multiple times. It happened to what's his face, Alistair Campbell. Like when he was annoyed at the Labour Party.
Yeah, Lib Dems, didn't he?
He voted for the Lib Dems, and they immediately kicked him out. And that's the rules in British politics. You vote for another party, you get kicked out. So if he did not vote for a Dem, he's this. I don't know. Maybe this could be the start of finally his ousting. Maybe, who knows?
No, it won't. I mean, we have a bunch of turncoats. They've never done shit. We unfortunately don't have that get out or stay in mentality in America, mainly because of how our elections work. At least in my experience, I don't know the last time they've ever censured someone from the Democratic Party within the Democratic Party. Yeah, it's nasty.
How many more comments would you like?
I'm
what have we got time for? I just want to make sure we're not overrunning for anyone. Back to the September 11th stuff. Like, yeah, it's disgusting them continuing to weaponize this. What it made me immediately think of, though, when like it was the tweet, it's like, oh, it's only been 24 years, like a very specific amount of years. But I always, as soon as she said that, it reminded me immediately of the terrorist organization Lehi in Israel, who literally got designated a terrorist group by the state of Israel, and then they elected the leader as the prime minister less than 30 years later. Like he literally massacred entire villages and killed British like diplomats and stuff, and tried to assassinate multiple senior British leaders, and then they elected him as like prime minister in like the 70s, I think.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
the modern day amalgam of the Lehi is the Likud, right?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And Benjamin Netanyahu is part of the Likud party. They are the ruling party of this coalition. They're fucking terrorists, guys. No, it's real. And also, guys, yeah, only 24 years is a wild statement. Yes,
it's a long time.
Just saying. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna do a Hassan Piker. We didn't deserve 9/11. No one deserves 9/11. But 24 years, I'm 21. Like, 24 years is a while. Like, Zohran Mamdani is 33. He was 10 years old on 9/11. I don't know. I think Israel's killed about 100 times more people, by some counts 1,000 times more people in the past 4 years.
Yep.
Like, crazy that's your point. They're doing the same thing, with that they do with October 7th. It's the same fucking outrage politics. It's just so racist.
It's also the datification of certain events, which is like when you say 7th of October, everyone immediately knows what you mean by it, and then when you say, Christ, the way Israel's treated Palestinians, the initial response is, yeah, but October 7th. No context needed, by the way, right? Doesn't matter about the occupation, doesn't matter about the genocide, doesn't matter about the multiple intifadas and everything that happened before. That 7th of October, and that's what it is for the US, 9/11. Of course. What Hassan Piker was saying, he wasn't like, ha ha ha, I'm glad people died. He was basically saying it was blowback. That was what he was saying, which is true. It's so true.
Yeah. It's and also everything that, I mean, America's still traumatized from 9/11. A bunch of these fucking boomers literally want to. We did another crusade and we're still not over it. It's like we're literally all just trauma responding from 9/11. It messed up people's brain. I mean, half of them had lead poisoning anyway, but the lead poisoning really metastasized with 9/11, and they're still trying to bring that back.
Good old Dick Cheney didn't survive that, though. I mean, a very old man, but the man that helped the war on terror. I mean,
God bless. That was a good day. I was told
Mamdani wins, Cheney dies.
Yeah, but I'll break that rule for Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
How do you feel about AOC trying to oust another Democrat? Because that's what she did to get into power, right? So
do it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, fine.
Whether she would do it now, because before she was just an incumbent nominee, or incumbent person to fight for the nominee. Now she's got profile. I feel like she's more timid and scared to go after these people, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Grave might beat AOC to beating Chuck, but we'll see. If Chuck makes it to 2028, I don't know what much left of Schumer will be there.
Oh, but he'll still be there, though. They'll make sure.
Yes,
Sure.
it'll be that California Democrat all over again. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, AOC should do it. I've lost a lot of faith in AOC. Post her, she was like, "We need to fund the defense of Israel." No,
yeah,
you
the
don't,
the drone funding was like, I've always defended AOC over a lot of. Some people have thought like, oh, she's sold out. I'm like, oh, she hasn't. She's just playing the game. Yes, she's capitulated, but she's playing the game. But the drone funding, right, was funding was inconceivable. Didn't need to do that. So yes, of course, like AOC is a very flawed candidate.
Yeah. It was I like the new it was the discussion post Charlie Kirk where it was like, was silence not an option? Like you could have voted wrong and then just shut up.
Yep.
But then you went on and said we need to fund the defense of Israel. It's like, did we need to fund the defense for
Marjorie Taylor Greene had a better position than AOC. What fucking universe are we living in?
Yes,
I mean, look, when I say better position, I don't mean she's actually like based on it, right? But in terms of legislation, right, she had a fucking better position on it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I always follow Rashida Tlaib's point with that, where Rashida was like, no, we don't. No. They can fund for their own fucking defense.
True.
It's silly. It's silly.
That is it for someone put MTG is woke.
She's the woke left.
Real dark woke.
Please do not fall for it. Like, I see too many people liking like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson shit. Like, no, like, guys, when people say they hate Jews, that's directed towards those people, right?
I mean, most people aren't going to fall. Obviously, you know, obviously Graham's taking the piss, but most people.
I know Graham's taking the piss, but like sometimes, yes, maybe I will say the same thing that Candace Owens has said, but the 20 other things that she said is purely from a completely anti-Semitic standpoint. Like, they are the actual Jew haters.
Yeah, they're not suddenly left wing. It's obviously crazy.
I actually listened to Candace Owens' podcast for the first time about a month ago, just to kind of like actually see it beyond the TikTok clips. And like one of her ads is like, you can donate $30 and it will help somebody like not like get a baby scan to stop them getting an abortion or something like that. And I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, what? People listen to this? But anyway, that's it for the comments, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Lewis, for that. A really interesting show. We've had a special, shall we? You know, obviously we only covered one story, so we did the extended comment section. It's been a lot of fun. Will, thank you so much for coming on. Fantastic expertise. A real credit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate coming on. It was always fun. I'm always happy to show up. So yeah.
Absolutely. We'll be doing this again. And obviously thank you to everyone who tuned in. Now remember, we are just 5 volunteers, so you can support us by going to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There is a link to our Patreon or another link for a one-time contribution. Alternatively, you can become a YouTube member for just 99p. Thank you so much. We've had some great viewership today, by the way. I think we broke some records. I mean, 175 viewers concurrently. Very good stuff. Of course, I will be back on Friday. So thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you next time.